Welcome back to another video. This is going to be based on the Guntank. This is the high grade version, as you can tell, but it's a reissue from the Bandai Spirit, so unfortunately this one doesn't have the price tag on the barcode, but these are really cheap. I mean, you could find these things all day for like $10 or less, so not really a big deal. It is an older kit from 2000, and the box art's not that great. Personally, it's kind of cheap looking, but you can't really expect much for the Guntank, honestly. Here we go with some pictures. Blurb, you'd have to translate it though if you want to know what it says. And just some more information about it. That's actually in English if it would focus. Focus. Well, it won't focus. Moving on. Some more information about it, some weapons. Another blurb here. And as you continue, it just, does the typical stuff where the barcode is. But as you see, there's no yen price there. And that's pretty much it. I mean, that's the box. There's really not much else to talk about with it. Only other thing to mention is that this is the original Guntank, so it's the one that shows up in the 1979 original Mobile Suit Gundam. Well, this is the Guntank, as you can tell. It's not overly detailed or anything because it's, a high grade. It has some pretty nice details, personally, with some of the things that you can see in the blue parts, mostly on the back here with the grates, the little exhaust grates. It's actually pretty cool. But there's not much other detail on this thing. It's a very simple build. I do really like the treads. I think that's really cool looking. But unfortunately, the problem with the treads is that they are the rubbery plastic that you see with a lot of the polycaps or the joint parts. So because of that, they are very they're stiff, and you also have to like plug them in to the bottom part right here. So you wrap it around and you plug it in so it doesn't roll. And that kind of sucks. I was honestly hoping it would roll, but unfortunately you don't have any rolling action, and really the articulation on this thing is just awful. Really all you have is like arm movement, the guns, and a little bit of movement in the head. That's really all you have for articulation. It doesn't really have much of anything. It's a very bare bones kit, but that's because there's not very many Guntanks, so they don't need to like standardize a lot of parts for it. So a lot of the parts for this thing is actually pretty unique. If you actually look in the cockpit there, it might be kind of hard to see, but one of the other detailed elements that they have is there's a little pilot figure in there. Now that's something that's very unique for a high grade. You don't ever really see that. Now, you usually get pilot figures with um, master grades and real grades. For example, right there's a pilot figure for this double X, Gundam double X. But there's another pilot figure in here, so it actually comes with two different pilot figures. Of actually two different characters. Normally, it's the same character for a master grade, but for this one, it's two separate characters. And this master grade has another pilot figure on the inside, but it's just a random Fetty pilot. I forgot to mention that in his review, but he does have that. Um, Now, I'm not sure if this was supposed to be able to be opened or if it was just supposed to snap in, but because for me it was a real pain in the ass to get it to actually stay, it would fall off all the time, I just glued it on. Which leads to some of my typical points I like to talk about. It is a technically to me, it's not that great of a kit because I had to glue. I had to use glue. Now, like I said before, that's a problem with the construction or the engineering of a kit. If I have to modify or use glue, like I said with this guy over here, if I have to reach for glue, you kind of failed. Because the whole point of these kits is to make them without glue. So here's another example of why you need to pay attention to see if something needs glue to build, or if it says it doesn't, but it does anyways. That's really it. Most of the problems come from the fact that it's not a standardized suit. So, for uniqueness, it would get a really high rating, but for its quality, it's just not that great. I hate to give it such a low rating because I always loved the Guntank. I just thought it was so goofy looking, but as a model kit, it's pretty bad. I give it a 2 out of 10. It's really poor. It has very little articulation. One of its biggest, most appealing aspects, having treads, the construction of that is just so terrible that it can't even roll. And that's the one thing I was hoping for, was that this thing would be able to roll, and it doesn't roll. You can't roll this thing, and that really sucks. And it has no extra accessories. I mean, what you see here is what you get. You have the guns for the hands, and you have the two cannons on the shoulders, and that's it. It doesn't come with a core fighter or anything, so it's the most like a super bare bones kit. No extra accessories, hardly any articulation, barely dare detail. The only truly good thing about this kit is that it doesn't have any stickers, and also that it's real cheap. So, because of how cheap it is, it's not too bad, I guess. Maybe a 3 out of 10 then. So it's a little better than awful. It's just bad. um, but yeah, it's not really worth it unless you plan on just collecting Universal Century, stuff like that. So let's move on to final verdict and my yeah, let's just move on. So 3 out of 10, it's pretty bad, honestly. Well, it's just bad. It's not pretty bad. Pretty bad would be two. Um, and my recommendation would be only for customizers, people who are hardcore fans of Universal Century, and just collectors. But if you're someone who's a casual builder, it's super easy to build, but it's not um, a great starter. It's not a great starter kit because it's just too bare bones, and it doesn't give you a good example of what other Gundam kits will be like. Um, so I wouldn't suggest them as a starter kit for beginners or anyone who's just a casual builder. But collectors and hardcore fans of Universal Century and diorama builders and customizers, those are the guys who should go after it. In that regards, it's super cheap and readily available because it's a a normal massive release. So in that regard, it's good. But the quality of the actual kit itself is just kind of bad. At the very least, if they wanted me to give this at least a 5 out of 10, the only thing I wanted them to do was allow these to roll. If the treads could actually roll, it would be so much better of a kit. It'd be so much better. And that would make it at least an average kit. It would be a 5 out of 10 at the very least. That's all I wanted. If you wanted it to be slightly better, or a 6 or a 7, they could have added the core fighter. So you could like take this part off and actually use like take the core fighter out and transform it and fly it around. But they don't have that for this kit, which is just really dumb. But whatever. It's the most bare bones version of the gun tank you can probably find. So I guess I can't be too surprised. But that's the video, guys. Thank you for watching, and hope to see you next time. Yokai, peace out.